So this Catholic priest and this rabbi are sitting on a park bench, and they're feeding the pigeons. And this group of boys come walking by, and there's a really handsome, good-looking young blonde boy in the group. And the Catholic priest looks at the rabbi and says, "Hey, let's go fuck that kid." And the rabbi said, "Oi, out of what?" Anyway, boom, boom, ching. I thought that, and we do have a first story, but that's not the segue. I just kind of wanted, before we, it's about the Catholic Church. I had to crack a joke. But before we go off on anything, or even like a lot of small talk, Common Sense Guy. Hi, I'm the Ogre. This is Common Sense Guy. If you don't know who we are, you would not possibly be here. Last night, man, was one of the most amazing talks I have seen in quite a while. And before I ask you much about it, there was a lot of feedback I've heard from you and from other people. And, there's a lot of feedback to you about maybe different ideas of how other people would have handled that. What do you have to say about that? What was going on last night? What was that like?
To be fair, it's like whenever you're actually speaking to somebody, and you're speaking to somebody, and every time that you go to make a point, you just literally, and just before you even took your breath to actually say a word, he's already coming back at you with a different point. And you kind of trying to write everything down in your head or on a book or whatever to try and keep up with what he's fucking trying to say. He tries to bamboozle you with so many points in the same instance that you just can't follow. So you just pick a couple of points, just stick to what you're doing, say a couple of words, and generally that will flummox him enough to go, yeah, I agree. Wait, did I just agree to that? And then try and work it himself round.
So that's
generally what happened.
So what was, just so I can prod you, what was that? What did it feel like to you? To every time you went to say something, you were cut off and then bombarded, no matter how many times you politely said, "Sir, may I get a word?" or whatever it is that you would interject to try to. What did that do to you inside? Don't hold back.
It didn't really do much to me. I'm all right. I'm quite happy dealing with people like that. But I think for him, it shows the fact that he likes to play this respectful, charismatic kind of preacher type guy. But yeah, he doesn't want to actually entertain anybody's ideas. He even said on the live stream, "I don't care what white has to say. I don't care what the Caucasians think. I don't care anything about what you want to say and what you want to do." And he's saying that on the stream, and yet that's the reason why he's cut me off. There is no respect from that side. He likes to play around with this idea of respect and everything else like that, but I didn't think that I got any. And if anybody watching thought that I did, please explain to me where I fucking got it, because I don't really think that I got too much respect from that stream.
No, you didn't. I had to ask because when I didn't ask in the pre-stream. When I was watching that, I was getting tense vicariously. I was feeling the pressure just watching what was happening to you. I would have tried to handle it exactly like you did. I think I would have been more vocal, which would not have been good. But it would have definitely mentally affected me. You know what I mean? I would have been, it would have taken.
That's why I have alcohol.
Remember this, alcohol is an amplifier, bro. That's why I've never, it's not since I was freaking 25 years old, I've ever looked at somebody and said, "Sorry, man, I was drunk." Because that is the biggest bullshit anybody will ever tell you. Alcohol just amplifies what is. Mm-hmm. So, I always say, if you ever want to know what somebody really thinks about you,
get drunk.
Keep pouring them drinks until you know they're well over their limit, and then start asking them questions. They'll tell you.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, you have a good capacity for controlling your emotions, man. That's all I can say. That was very, very well done.
Well, to be fair, I wasn't controlling them too much inside. I would have been like most people. I was quite annoyed, especially when I was sitting there like that for the first fucking 20 minutes, just going, "Can I speak yet? Is this a debate?"
That was the best. It was honest to goodness. It was more almost the half hour in when the first time you said, "May I speak now, sir?" I was like, "Oh."
I remember Mad Dodge actually saying in the chat, "Poor Common Sense Guy." Well, I'd just like to point out, I'm probably not the one who lost that debate.
Oh, no. There's no question. I would say that even people that would be from his camp, so to speak, wouldn't be able to say that he won the debate. I would even say that because he structured it the way it was, it couldn't even be called a proper debate. Because basically what you did was he talked. You only got about, that I witnessed, maybe 4 chances to refute what he'd said, and he had made 400 points, it seemed. Like we were saying before the stream, he would say something, go off on a tangent, make 4 or 5 points, and if you were lucky, you'd get to address one. Usually, you'd try to, he'd bulldog over you and then go off into another 4 or 5 points, that if you were lucky, and repeat.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what happened, and until the end, until I got annoyed, and he didn't get free reign then.
I gotta watch that. When I had to go back to work, I did notice you were starting to be a little more forceful. I think, what was that at that time? Was it kind of like, did you sense the blood in the water and knew that the patient portion had already done its part?
I think, yeah, it is kind of a sense that you realize that the respect part of the proportion of the debate had gone by that point. The person wasn't letting me speak, so it was a case of you're either going to force your way into the debate or you're just going to whimper out. And it's at that point you have to realize, do I want to talk? Do I want to make my points? And that's the reason why I just started pushing a lot harder, because I wanted to make my points. I wanted to make him realize that he was fucking racist, and I called him racist at the end, and he didn't really refute the fucking point.
No, he wouldn't refute it. The only thing I could see him refuting on that is that I can't be racist because I can't have power plus prejudice. He would probably
which I put into his language before he even finished.
Yeah, because I mean, so you say, well, so you're prejudiced. You have bigoted hate. You're a bigot. That would be another word that would apply. So before we carry on, because speaking of ass rape, our first story does deal with the Holy Roman See. Which it could be the Holy Roman Seamen, with all of the diddling that they've done over the years. Common Sense. I mean, they have screwed almost as many innocent young children as the Muzzies in Telford. It's close.
Oh, I would actually say that the Catholic Church has probably screwed more people than the government ever has.
Yes. Oh man, going back into antiquity, you think about it. So before we start, my beverage of choice today is by a little company called Bean Blossom out of Indiana, United States of America. This is Bean Blossom Hard Cider, the peach version. I do have the straight up cider version. I may get to it, but this is a little more powerful than my normal drink. And I do have to do something tomorrow, so I can't just slam cider. But and I do believe that Common Sense is joining me with the cider also. What is that? What did you say that was?
It is a Balmer's, and it is from Herefordshire, and it's crushed red berries and a little dash of lime. That's a cider.
A dash of lime and crushed. So that's also not an apple cider. That is a berry cider.
No. This isn't proper apple cider, but it's just been made with extra crushed red berries and with a dash of lime.
Oh, man, I bet that's good with a little lime in it. This peach is just superb, and this is. Like I think the other night you had pear. I was looking for pear and I couldn't find it in the little store I was at, but I did find this peach. This is considered a cider. Ciders apparently are fermented pulp mash. You know, when they have that's all the cider means is apple juice with particles in it.
Yep.
Technically, orange juice is a cider.
Yeah, same as vinegar. No, it's not.
Well, just apple cider vinegar. But no, it's not. Oh, so anyway, hopefully that when you will join us with a drink, that's why we're mentioning what we're drinking, and it will help to fortify you against the upcoming story. I think some people left. Maybe it was because of this flight that I gave to the Holy Roman See. And if so, that's all right. Today's stories were provided by the crew here that you see before you. Thank you so much, crew. This comes out of the Los Angeles Times by Tom Kingston. Pope's reported comment to a gay man may indicate a new level of acceptance of homosexuality. Pope Francis has reportedly told a gay man that God, quote, this is an alleged quote so far, keep in mind, alleged quote, God made you the way you are and loves you as you are. And alleged quote. Apparently pushing upon acceptance of homosexuality to a new level. Francis made the comment to Juan Carlos Cruz. Look, this Pope is doing something bad. Oh, and I just realized you can see me, and you shouldn't be able to see me. Let me do my job properly. So sorry about that. I will say this Pope is doing something to the office with all of the stuff that he's engaging in. This is, I believe, Common Sense Guy, the first time I've ever read an article where they referred to the Pope by his Pope name. Because this guy's name was Juan Julio Garcias or something like that. And Pope Francis, of course, was just like Ratzinger, and it was Benedict. This is Pope name, but I've never seen him just say the name. It's always Pope Francis. He is doing a lot of disservice to his seat. So let me continue without too much more editorializing. I'm going to see what you think about this. Francis made the comments to Juan Carlos Cruz, a Chilean victim of priestly sexual abuse, who reportedly spent days with the Pope at the Vatican to discuss his ordeal as the pontiff moves to tackle decades of cover-ups and ostracism. Yeah, that's a great word. I should have known it. An ostracism of victims in the Chilean church, according to the Spanish newspaper El País. Cruz was quoted as having discussed his homosexuality with Francis. Quote, he told me, Juan Carlos, I don't care about you being gay. God made you that way and loves you as you are, and I don't mind. The Pope loves you as you are. You have to be happy with who you are. I bet the Pope does love him the way he is. Anyway, a spokesman at the Vatican on Sunday declined to confirm or deny Francis's comments, stating, we don't normally comment on the Pope's private conversations. In 2013, Francis famously said, quote, if someone is gay and seeks the Lord with goodwill, who am I to judge? End quote. When asked for his views on homosexuality, signaling a sea change in the Catholic views on sexual orientation. This is, when you see this put this way, sea change, S-E-A, the person that wrote it is a moron. Because sea change stands for century change, the kind of change that only comes around once in 100 years. So it would never be spelled sea as in the ocean sea. So I'm not going to read any more of this Common Sense. I guess the way I'd like to kick this off and get any of your views on what we've read or this story in general. The Pope said down here, who am I to judge? What's happening to the Catholic Church? Is it a case of they finally realize what they actually are and the power that they don't have? Because the last time I checked, I mean, a priest has the right of absolution. So in other words, they have the right to say your sins are forgiven or not. And the Pope wears a hat that says vicarious filii Dei. That's what it says on his, they call it the fish hat. Common Sense, it looks like a big old, and it comes like this. And if you look at the side, it looks like a fish's mouth open. That's his big, he don't wear it very often, but on that it says vicarious filii Dei. That means the vicar of the Son of God, which if you wanted to quote it directly, it would mean God on earth. That is really how the direct translation. So what is going on? I don't know how else to say it. I know I'm trying to prompt you, and I know that for you, this is just pageantry and fuck all. I don't
No.
Lay it on me.
Well, I'm just put into the side chat because I did a story on the Chilean rape scandal around about 4 to 5 months ago. And in the side chat, there is two sources, one from the 19th and one from the 21st. One is to the point of explaining what's actually going on in the sexual ring that was going on, and the fact that the Chilean government was going to give them repercussions and things like that, and the fact that the Pope actually knew the person who was actually involved in the child sex ring that was going on. He was a cardinal. He was a Chilean. Oh, there you go. It was a Chilean cardinal. And he doesn't even want to entertain the idea and says the cardinal wouldn't even do that. So for it to get to this point, is quite interesting to the fact that it's now being pushed. There was also a story about 2-3 weeks ago where in Australia there's a particular cardinal as well that it was part of the financial minister to the Vatican that actually has been partaking in children as well. So I think the Pope should stop worrying about if he accepts gay people and stop his priests from fucking children. I think that might be the best thing. Because it's fine saying that you accept people for the way they are. That's absolutely fine. But priests are not supposed to take their power, and there is a power and it is a place of privilege. And yes, we will use the less terminology on that point. It is a place of privilege and power that these priests take advantage of children and altar boys and things like that to have of their pleasure. Because remember, it's not God's pleasure. It's not that the God's making them do this. It's their pleasure. They want to do this.
Yes.
So this is them that's wanting to destroy a child's innocence, which in any religion is supposed to be some of the most powerful things that you're supposed to protect. The idea of the innocence of the child is supposed to be the prominent thing that you're supposed to protect in any religion.
Sacrosanct, it should be, yes.
Yes. And it's not. And for something that's supposed to be as what would it be? Ritualistic as what the Catholic Church is, you would think that that would be something that they would punish with complete and utter ostracization, but they don't. They don't even kick you out for it. They just move you.
Well,
that's
that depends upon the level of exposure, common sense. Isn't that correct? Because if the level of exposure is such that everyone is looking at that diocese now, they will then move the priest possibly, or they may even what do they call it? I can't think of this word. Boy, I should just throw my excommunicate them from the church. But they don't do this. Here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Acceptance. We hear about acceptance all the time. Is acceptance a blanket good thing? Is it, in other words, carte blanche? Is it always a good thing?
Of course it's not, because that means that you would have to accept criminality, and that means all criminals would not go to prison. Now that doesn't mean that all of them should, but some of them should. And if you just go, well, everybody should or shouldn't, you can't deal in absolutes, because everything should be done on a case-by-case basis. That's why we say justice is blind, and we don't set up an actual carte blanche, so to speak, of everybody's supposed to be doing this, and if you do this, then you get this amount of years. The point of absolution or absolute, the point of actually having something in as an absolute, as in if you do this, you get this, is absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Yes. I'll tell you what, I'm sending, I just said I could have just said it to him, but your link is in the Discord there, Lord Quinn, and I do see one other person that I would be interested in having on any stream that we were on, as long as you don't have a problem with it. Crumple Point's also out there, so let me know, Crump, if you feel like being involved. I just want to point out that today, Common Sense is in charge, and that means there will be no fuckery today. You can crack all the jokes you want, but we will stay kind of on topic, and we do have some funny stories. I tried to start out with this one, which I do consider a funny story. Hail, Lord Quinn. How's it going, brother?
Hello, mate. And before we go anywhere, I just want to say congratulations, the ultimate winner of yesterday's stream.
Cheers.
Rocked.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
I second that. Here's the commie. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Here's the common sense.
Fuck you, guy. Fuck you.
Well, we Americans aren't much different than you English lot. We very often will just add the E at the end of the name to denote an affection for, but commie doesn't sound good. I think you were talking to a commie last night.
I definitely was talking to a right-wing commie, if that even exists.
My goodness. And he is some kind of strange alt-right, kind of almost a negative. But let's go on with this. Yeah, good point. Let's get a good point, though, Lord Quinn. I have to admit, I got to say it, Common Sense. I'm not looking down on you. I'm just going to tell you, I was very proud, son. I do consider myself your elder. I'm not above you or anything, but I'm your elder. I'm a little older than you. Been around a little bit longer, and I was near tears with pride yesterday watching you effortlessly let that moron beat himself to a bloody pulp.
Yeah, the more rope was better for him.
It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. All right, and then we'll see. Crump, if you do, what I'll do is I'll send you a link in Discord to your personal message. If you get free, you get free. If you don't, no worries, man. There's never any pressure here. So, of course, before we move on, we're going to have our final thoughts on this story. What do you think, Lord Quinn? Is the Holy Roman See abdicating their moral control over the populace at the moment? Are we witnessing this? What's going on? Have they lost something or gained something because of this, according to you?
Honestly, mate, I think they've given the hell up. Literally, they've just gone, do you know what? Do what you like. We're not going to fight it anymore because we've done it all already. So they're kind of covering their own ass, in my opinion.
I think it's even worse than that. I think it's the case that, as you say, that they've given up. But I think that they're trying to force themselves to be relevant rather than winning over the fan base that they already had. Because what they're doing is they're alienating the fan base that they did have, so to speak, if you think of it from a cartoon point of view. If you got a cartoon that was doing really well back in the day and still got a considerable fan base, you don't go and change the cartoon to something completely different because then you lose the original fan base. And that's what this Roman Catholic Church is fucking doing at the minute. It's completely changing it to the point of saying there is no hell. There is no hell. It's on earth that's hell. Muslims are absolutely fine. You should go and follow Muslim faith because they're absolutely okay. And this is all from the Pope as well. This is not from individual little priests or anything else like that. This is from the Pope saying that they actually, Muslims are okay. You should follow them. We haven't had a problem with them for, centuries. Like with their religion and everything else like that being persecuted. They've never had a problem with them at all. But, because we're relevant, we know what's going on. And we have to say everybody's equal. And, well, you're not. Stick to what you are, not what you think you should be.
Totally agree with you, mate. It really feels like they're trying to rewrite history in some sort of weird and screwy way. Because let's be honest, the Christian religion is a pretty hardcore religion at the end of the day. And I could be wrong.
Should be. And if it's not, people need to get the hell out of it. All these people that are compromising. Go ahead, Quinn. I'm not cutting you off. But all these people, yes, it's supposed to be hardcore. And there's supposed to be things that you say, I don't do because I'm a Christian. And if you don't want to say you don't do those things, i.e. suck dick if you're a male, then get the fuck out.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you, mate. I mean, I'm not religious by any stretch of what we class as normal imagination. But, the religion of your choice has these tenets set out. Fucking follow them, guys. I mean, come on. It's not difficult. It's not like commandments aren't, well known or anything.
There's only 10 of them.
I want to bring something up historical, folks, and I want to just ask you two gentlemen, because you two are the smartest guys I do know. I don't know if that's saying a lot or a little, but that's the truth.
Probably a little.
Do you know what Catholic means? Does anybody know what the word Catholic means?
I would say cat liquor, but I'm sure that's not what you mean.
No, it's something to do with Mary. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's something to do with Mary.
No, both are not even close. It means universal. Another way to say Catholic would be all-encompassing or one size fits all, to make it very simple. What happened is you had a melding of pagan and Judaism, which was the early Christian church, was just Judaism add Jesus Christ. That's the only difference. You had a melding of these two, and they said, we are the universal church. You can come to us if you worship Baal, if you worship Asmodeus, if you worship Jesus, if you worship Mary, it doesn't matter. When you look at Mary and Joseph, that's not even Mary and Joseph. Those statues have been there in Rome long before Mary and Joseph were ever born. And so I see this. I want to be honest, and I saved this for my last. This is the last thing I got to say about this story. I'm not shocked, because the Roman beast power of Revelation 13, this great beast with 7 heads and 10 horns and iron teeth that destroys everything in its wake, is still there. It received a deadly wound, but it's rapidly healing. And what we see now is the universal church making one more change where it says, oh, of course, because listen, let's all face it. Wasn't too long ago. Homosexuality, no, you're going to hell. You're good. There's Pope John Paul II would have shit the bed. He would. There's no way he would have went this route.
And that's when he woke up in the morning.
And this is the end, folks. But now we see the universal Holy Roman See making one more concession, one more shift, one more thing to make it truly universal and all-encompassing.
Or just another fucking brick in the wall.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. Yeah, you're right.
All right, so I got a couple other stories here. Any last thoughts on this? And I don't care how honest you are. I was just as honest as I can be. I basically called them the Antichrist. Well, at least the beast power of the Antichrist. So whatever you may think about it is fine with me.
I've got one. I think that the Catholic Church is...
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I can't disagree with either of those two perfectly valid points.
Yeah. Boy, that something smells like hard cider. So, moving right along, I tell you what, man, I am still unhappy with bombing Syria. That's a sore for me. It's not even healing at the moment. I wish that Trump would say that was a bad move, that he is not any better than anybody else, that just because he did it doesn't make it right. But I don't see anybody moving in that direction, boys. So I'm going to say that President Trump, other than that thing, and that is it, I don't care that he's humped whatever. I don't care. I mean, a billionaire, if he hasn't humped some porn stars, I probably wouldn't like him. I mean, you got it. I mean, that's something you do if you're a billionaire. It's just what you do. You hump the hottest girls in the room. They let you too, by the way. So I don't want to dwell too much on that.
Yeah, you can grab them by the pussy and they do nothing.
They don't do anything. They just let you do it. You just walk up to them, put some breath mints in, you just start kissing them. They don't do shit. And now this story, I hate to do it, but of course this once again is brought to you by Bollocks News Network in no particular order. And from Alex Jones, this is Paul Joseph Watson reporting. So take it as you will. I'm not telling you that you have to believe this or anything else. This is just what I have for you today. This is what the president is up against, though, in my humble opinion. Report: Obama pleads with Jay-Z to prevent other hip-hop artists from meeting with Donald Trump. Democrats terrified of slipping support among millennials. Former President Barack Obama has reportedly asked Jay-Z to encourage other hip-hop artists not to meet with Donald Trump following the firestorm of publicity over Cayenne, whatever. The claim is being made by pro-Trump activist Josh Cornett, who tweeted, "Sources are confirming that former President Barack Obama has called Jay-Z several times over the past month, pleading with Jay-Z to discourage fellow hip-hop artists from meeting with President Donald Trump." And then this is just what that says there from this Josh Cornett or whatever. So, and then look, I'm not going to read this. Well, what the hell? It's very short. The tweet has received over 7,600 retweets and over 10,000 likes since being posted. Donald Trump Jr. has also liked the tweet, leading some to speculate that he may know that the story is true. While the story remains unconfirmed, it would make political sense for Democrats to deter pop icons from being seen to endorse President Trump in any way as the midterms draw near.
Why would that be, though?
Yeah. Are you being serious?
No, I'm trying to just cause the debate to start happening. Well, we all know the reasons why, to show that the Republicans are actually helping the black people, like getting into work, actually doing stuff to help them in general. But yet the Democrats just want to keep them in a particular place so that they can promise them that they're going to do stuff.
And I thought it was just a brilliant segue into the fact that the Washington Examiner is now also reporting Monday, May 21st. This is from Paul Bedard from the Washington Examiner. Stephen Miller says America's negotiator in chief wants voters wanted times 10. He's given the voters what they want times 10 is what he's saying. This article, and don't get me wrong, Miller was a speechwriter. He was one of the people that headed Donald Trump's campaign. He is a Trumpster. He's a Trumpite, whatever you want to call him. He is. But this is why the old President Barack Obama is calling up Jay-Z and begging him to stop people from getting to know this wonderful person that a lot of people actually like.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go down here. Oh, man, let me turn my phone off first. Probably can't hear it, but yeah, I can. All right. So,
sorry, Crumple Point made great term, a Trumpster fire.
Trumpster fire. So, in a break from past administrations, President Trump is using brass knuckles to personally cut deals on trade, military, burden sharing, diplomacy, domestic energy production, and regulations that aides describe as unprecedented and propelling an economic boom, and several detailed to secrets. What the fuck? Several detailed.
I don't know. It's like people don't actually know how to use grammar anymore, and these are supposed to be writers.
It really is a rough one. Sometimes I read this online shit, and it's like, come on, man. I don't do too well with punctuation. I've been rough on that. My spelling's not great, but I try not to write sentences that are unintelligible. So, in several detailed secrets, Trump has confronted world leaders in Oval Office meetings to demand better treatment and pushed his cabinet secretaries to weigh decisions in favor of taxpayers, according to officials. Everything that the American people hope for when they cast that ballot for change for a new kind of leadership in Washington, everything that they hoped they would get, I am telling you that they not only received it, but they've gotten it times 10, said senior aide Stephen Miller. And Donald Trump is the lobbyist for every hard-working American, he said, eager to counter some bad press to describe Trump's hands-on style. The reason I have these two stories together, boys, is the one can't be without the other.
Of course.
The whole idea now is, let me put this one. When Obama was president, he wasn't a great president, all right? He was a good reader of a teleprompter. He could rabble-rouse people up pretty good.
Well, let's be honest, Obama was a shit president.
Yeah, he wasn't a good president. No, he wasn't. But so what he did was, to take away from that, he got all these buddies, and everybody said how great he was. And Oprah talked about him, first black president. All that. They're doing the opposite now, boys. And I will be quiet and hear what y'all think about this. I know this is from across the pond and maybe a little foreign to you all. But can you not see that they're the same thing they did to keep Obama afloat, to keep people like Hillary afloat, where they have these pop icons come out? They're trying to use that same thing to sink the Trump.
Yeah, it's a paramount of the left in general. The left in our country, for Labour, for instance, Jeremy Corbyn, when the general election was up and about, all he used, rather than pushing his actual policies, was a case of people saying, oh, yeah, I endorse him. At the time, Stormzy, Rag and Bowman, and a couple of others that were supposed to be big in our neck of the woods, so to speak, were all endorsing it. And it's the same thing that the left seem to do everywhere. If we can't win by policies, we're going to make people think that, oh, my favorite superstar likes him, so I'm going to be with that person because my favorite person supports them. They must be good. And it's just a case for me. It's a case that it's a distraction. It's a distraction to be able to take you away from the policy, to make you think, oh, well, this person I like is doing this. And it's to elevate the actual person because somebody else likes them, rather than the policies that are actually being perpetuated. It's fucking amazing.
It's actually impressive, because the worst thing is it's kind of working. And that's the problem. People are no longer listening to the politics. They're just listening to the idiots that are supporting said politician. And that's not good. We should listen to the politics, because without that, what the hell are they actually doing as politicians? Tell me I'm wrong.
I will tell you you're wrong. There's a reason why I'll tell you you're wrong, because everybody is saying at this moment, oh, that's way too far deep. I can't fucking hear myself speak. I will tell you why you're wrong. The reason why you're wrong is because everybody's saying that millennials are now more interested in politics than whatever has ever happened before. I say bullshit. The reason why people are now interested in politics is because they're looking at it as an identity. They're looking at it as another form of extension of self. Who do you support? Oh, I support Labour. Who's your favourite Labour cabinet member? Is it Diane Abbott? Is it Jeremy Corbyn? You have these all big factions, and then they all intersect into little sections. And guess what? Yes, it's to do with the idea of feminism. Everybody wants to make their own sort of point and stick in their own little groups. That's the reason why everybody is following politics now. You can transmute that over into the States and still have the same sort of thing. It still works. And that's what the scary thing is. The fact that that ideology is so quick to be able to be adapted anywhere to anything. That's amazing to me.
But yet they don't actually discuss the actual policies of said politician. That's what I'm saying is where it's wrong.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree with that part. It was just that the reason why I disagree is because there's so many people who actually just go onto identity politics and, oh, yeah, I like Jeremy Corbyn because he's this, this, and this. Okay, well, tell me how his policies. I remember having this argument with loads of people on Twitter about, okay, well, tell me some of his policies that are actually going to help. Oh, he's going to nationalise the railways. What, you mean like in the 1970s and 80s when actually they were on strike every other fucking day? Because that's going to work.
We're going to get to nationalization here before the show's over, too, because I tell you what, Venezuela really got that shit together, didn't they?
They did well there. They did absolutely well.
Kellogg's just said, fuck you, Venezuela, and your commie shit left. And yesterday they nationalized the warehouse and the factory and turned it over to the workers. So, boy, I bet they're going to get a lot of Rice Krispies now, ain't they?
Well, they need something to fucking eat because there's no other food there.
They're going to fucking bloody starve to death waiting for Rice Krispies or anything else out of that factory. Anytime we hand it over. I mean, I think to myself, I get these fucking bitches come and wrap soap for me, these fucking thieving cunts. And every one of them, they've worked for me in some cases for 10 years. And they come, I got to watch them like a hawk. Look, you turn shit over to your workers. If I could right now, and they all tell me, oh, you don't pay us enough, blah, blah, blah. You'd make fun of our fat asses and you talk about our tits and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck you then. Get, whatever. Do you want the job? Do you want to work or no? That's my answer. And what would happen if I turned my business over to these girls and said, well, here you go. You keep up on the customer relations. You keep getting new accounts. If one falls off, you keep it up because you can't just make soap and stack it in the fucking back room. Somebody's got to fucking buy it, you dumb cunts.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox. But socialism, nationalization? Nationalizing something's a sure way to make sure it never makes a profit and don't fucking work.
Yep. I have nothing to say against that.
I'm just glad I'm too young to remember how shitty it was back in the early 80s. So, woohoo me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm younger than you. I'm pretty sure
we're not going to kiss Trump's ass all day long either. So we're going to move on to the next story. Fuck right now, because look, I said it when this started. I'm still not bloody happy. The Syrian thing made me extremely unhappy, boys. So in fact, I got this up now, but it don't really matter. Any last thoughts on the Trumpster? I did like that you all segued there. It didn't segue, but you kind of blended it into your own politics, and you can see what's going on with politicians there. Is this something new, boys? I mean, what's your last thoughts on this whole deal?
For me, no, it's not something new. It's something that the left have been doing for absolute years and years. If they can't win on the policies, they try to get you on the identity. Oh, look, Sean Connery likes what we're doing. Oh, look, Roger Moore. Oh, look, Brad Pitt. And it's just Oprah Winfrey, as you said before. Nothing to do with the actual politics about what's going on. It's just a case of, let's just throw people actually in there to try and bamboozle them and think, oh, well, he likes him. He must be doing something right because, he's famous. He must know what's going on. You mean he's been given some money?
I listened back to myself, and I'm not even going to mention his name now, but I do know some famous people. And more than once, I mentioned the most famous person I know. So that I won't say his name again if it rings any bells. The person is in a rock and roll band. I listened back to that common sense. I'm there like, I don't know. I know such and thus, and he married my friend over here, and I was there. And it's the most jackass move you can make. It's like, who you know. What does that mean? What does that make you? It's who you know is nothing. It's shit. It's who you fucking know. You also knew a bunch of losers in your life. Does that make it doesn't really matter. It's just the crock of shit.
I agree. I completely agree.
Oh, okay. Let's get on to something we may disagree about. So, I did notice this story. Lord Quinn, you've been a little quiet. I did give you a chance to say your last piece. I'm not cutting you off. If you got something else to say on that last story, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Honestly, mate, I actually agree with the both of you. I'd love to be able to argue, but I can't. You're right.
Well, we'll find something by the end of this we'll argue about. So it happens every day. And
even if I have to pretend.
Common Sense Guy and I are. We're good at it. So we're good. So this is coming out of CBS Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Bollocks News Network, for all your hard work. Once again, I don't think this has a byline. This is just giving the credit to CBS Los Angeles. Mixed reactions to Starbucks allowing non-customers to use restrooms. Now, look, non-customers. Let's remember that only thing you had to do in the old days, boys, was buy in the United States 60p. If you had 60p in your pocket, you could buy a pack of what they call after coffee chewing gum. It's like to get the coffee smell on, stink breath out. And then you could go and take a big whatever you had to take in the bathroom or leave, however you choose to phrase that. So let's keep this in mind that non-customers. One more quick thing before I go to no. I'll tell you all about it, but I'll tell you all what we're talking about. I don't want to say this for later. So mixed reaction to Starbucks allowing non-customers to use restrooms. Customers that won't buy a 60p pack of chewing gum. Hollywood, CBS LA. Everyone is welcome at your neighborhood Starbucks. This includes just hanging out or using the bathroom. The policy change comes 5 weeks after 2 Negroes who did not purchase anything were arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks. CBS LA's Chris Hallstorm headed to Hollywood Boulevard to get local reactions to the policy change, and he headed there, by the way. I'm definitely done it, so I don't see a problem with it, says Nicole McDonald. Quote, I think it should have always been this way, especially because of the way racism is, Desiree Moliere. But some customers.
That's a well-detailed argument, that is.
Yeah, we're going to tear this apart, boys. Let me go through this because I've been trying to laugh while I go through it. But some customers have other concerns. Quote, if you go into a business and you just sit there and you don't buy anything, you're taking up space at the table, said Melrose Larry Green. Quote, you could end up having a squatter's problem where you just have people coming and staying. I mean, if they're going to do it, then they need a limit to how long people can stay in there, said Joe Silva. The story is getting a lot of traction on the CBS LA Facebook page. One viewer said, quote, it will be a homeless camp. At least we won't have to deal with them out on the street. That is a concern some employees have. Quote, we get attacked a lot. Hollywood Boulevard, we get attacked a lot. Hollywood Boulevard. So I feel like, obviously, if you get attacked, then we have the right to say no. We have the right to say no and call the police, said Starbucks employee Ayami, whatever.
Ayami.
I'm
guessing. I don't know. I just wanted to say it is a cool name.
It is something else. The changes were hinted at earlier this month. Starbucks executive chairman Howard Schultz said, quote, we don't want to become a public bathroom, but we're going to make the right decision 100% of the time and give people the key because we don't want anyone at Starbucks to feel as if we are not giving access to use the bathroom. Something one family interviewed by Hallstrom can get behind, especially after a busy day on Hollywood Boulevard. Quote, bathroom and sit, said Dolores Charles. Quote, sometimes you don't feel like drinking the coffee or something, and they let you stay, then I think that's good. So, in other words, you have an establishment that somebody's paying a bunch of rent for. Somebody has built this huge organization. They own it all. And after a hard day on Hollywood Boulevard, you have the right. Bear in mind, I've been there. There are benches, there are places in public where you can chill. There's seats, actually. They got these bathrooms.
I don't even care if there is seats. I don't even care if there is seats and benches outside. It doesn't. That's not what the process is supposed to be.
Why?
I mean, the reason why is because it's a private establishment. If the people don't want to serve you for any reason whatsoever, then that's their fucking reason. If they don't want to serve me because I'm white and fat, then that's fair enough. I mean, they're going to lose shit tons of money from it, but that's their problem. That's their right as a private fucking investor. That's their right as a private bloody place. To have people be able to come in and use a restroom that other people have got to clean, you've got shit tons of cleaners that are supposed to be looking after that place and things like that. And you're going to have shit tons of people literally shitting tons into that fucking toilet for no apparent reason. The reason why the limits are there is because you have to buy something to use it. Think of the children. Think of the immigrants. You're being so racist.
I can't. All I can think of is shitting tons. Honest to goodness, shitting tons. That's all I can think about right now.
And how long will it be before it's only the white people that refuse to be allowed to use the toilet? Because let's be honest, we all know exactly where this is coming from. We can hide.
Angel snub.
Yeah. No. Because he'd want to turn that into his own personal ethno-state. So it'd be the new Negro Starbucks ethno-state toilet system. Or something.
I wonder how Donald Trump would describe that.
Oh, I can't imagine.
He'd call it a nigger potty.
I was going to say it was more of a shithole country.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I do think that it's a stupid idea. It's an absolute stupid idea because you can't have legislation for private places as long as they're not actually discriminating against people by physically throwing them out or physically telling them that you can't do this or you can't do that or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You've just got to accept what the rules are. It's like in some restaurants you've got to wear a shirt and shoes and whatever. If you want to eat at that restaurant, you have to abide by the dress code. It's like going to school. It's like going to school with a school uniform. If you're going to go, you need to wear the uniform. If not, you get sent home. It's the same thing, and that's fucking state run. So
we go to the Cask and Flag in Common Sense, and I've got to wear a fucking tie.
Exactly.
There's one of my favorite restaurants. You walk in there with just like I am now, with just a jacket on, it kick you the fuck out. And they don't have ties to borrow either. If you don't bring one, you're gone. I'm sorry, carry on.
That's fair enough. No, that's absolutely fair.
It's a private own. They can make whatever rule they want.
Exactly. But that's the whole point. But now it's being legislated by the government. It's now another form of the government turning itself into a nanny state because some people's feelings got hurt because they weren't able to use a toilet because they couldn't be bothered, as you quite rightly said, to buy something for 60 fucking p or get a drink of water or whatever. That's fucking amazing. You don't want to pay to use the toilet. You obviously needed to use the toilet that fucking badly. You just wanted to freeload and sit there for no fucking reason because you wanted to be popular and sit in a Starbucks because you can't afford the fucking coffee otherwise. Sorry,
and that's funny. The memes in this section says Cask and Flag is excellent, but I think you're talking about the one by Fenway Park. And just if you are memes, let me know. Have you been to the Cask and Flag on? Oh, I can't remember the name of the street there, right by the old Fenway Park. It's right by the. So I don't know if that's what you mean, because that is an excellent place too. But you can't, but you can go in there without a tie. You can, and that is a great place. That is amazing. We have actually drank beer at the same place. That's great.
Dun, dun, dun.
Go around the corner too to the Boston Brewery. Right there, there's the Boston Brewery. Right, you go out of the Cask and Flag, and you take a right. Go to the end of Fenway Park, take a left, and look to your right, and there's the big Boston Brewery. I used to get growlers out of there all the time, man. Wheat beer, big old fucking half a gallon. Oh, my goodness. Me and Pete Carroll got so shit-faced drunk and wandered on the field, and I sweet-talked the fucking guard into letting us go out there, and it was before cell phones. There were cell phones, but not like we have today. It was 1999, and we sat out there and drunkenly took selfies with Polaroids. I might break a couple of them pictures out one day if I remember. I'm sorry about that, boys. Carry on. That's just amazing memes that you are my brother from another mother. So anyway, where were we at before I rudely interrupted?
Saying that people were just going to use it as a place to sit down because they can't afford a cup of coffee.
It's fucking crazy. Now let me tell my quick story because since I butted in like a jackass anyway. when I was young, we used to go visit my grandparents in Cumberland, Maryland quite often. My step-grandfather, who was Irish, just like my real grandfather, and my grandmother, who's a Jewish lady, in Cumberland, Maryland. And there was a place to shop there called BG's, and there was lots of places to shop downtown Cumberland. When I was a kid, you could go in and pee. There was no slot on the bathroom door. You could walk into the bathroom. And in the male bathroom, there were, I don't know how it was in the female bathroom, never went in there. But in the male bathroom, there was a couple urinals. But on the outside of every door to a pooper, you put a dime in. Now, when I was that age also, I just crawled under the door. It was still just like a bathroom partition with the space underneath. So I just crawled under and went and pooed in there. But that far back, there were pay toilets. Now, I can think of a lot of reasons why. It's not just the price of the toilet paper. I mean, if you're going to pay to go in there, maybe you won't vandalize. There's all these reasons. But in the end, it's the discretion of the owner. And if we knew that back then, was it racist in Cumberland, Maryland, where I've never seen anybody but white people? Maybe they got some black people there. I've never seen them. But was it racist? And when did it stop? One more small point, boys. I heard Snub Nub say last night, I grew up under Jim Crow. Well, so does Jesse Lee Peterson. So did he. He said it was the best thing. It was good. We were separate, but we were equal. We did our own thing. There was nothing bad. He's got a radio show now. He's a very wealthy man, I'm assuming, head of a large organization. When did it start to be racist to say that we're different? When did it start to be racist to say, this is my business and I'll run it how I want? It wasn't the people that owned Walgreens that didn't let black folks eat at the counter. That was what I've been avoiding saying. I'm just going to come out and say it. Mm-hmm. If you let Walgreens make the decision, they wouldn't care if black people came in to eat. They care the color of their money, not their skin. Mm-hmm. Take the laws off the books. When you put a law on the books saying you have to serve someone, it's no better than a law saying you can't serve someone.
Agree.
Exactly. I think we should really remember the reason why this story actually happened in the fucking third place. The fact that two people were able to sit down in a Starbucks, not order anything, not order one thing, sit there for over an hour and a half using the free Wi-Fi to sort out a deal or whatever. And then were asked to leave, and then they got told, they said no. And then by that point, after they'd been told to leave, they were trespassing. And were told a couple of times to leave. And then the police come in and then removed them. There's nothing wrong with that. This is all stemmed from apparently that was wrong, that they weren't allowed to stay there and sit. No, the reason why they weren't allowed to stay in there and sit is because, one, they didn't want them there anymore because they've already sat there for over an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then they were asked to leave. By that point, they were trespassing. Now, the laws have changed because of this incident. If you think about it, it's the same sort of something very similar to Dankula, obviously to do with free speech, though. But something so trivial has now changed to the point where now companies are being told what they can and cannot do. And these are the way that the laws change. You never take in a regime change by just taking over the country because the populace will reject it. You do it by a death of 1,000 cuts. You do it level by level by level. So the populace accepts it and dumbs it down so they accept what's going on. And they don't see the bigger picture because they only see narrow-mindedly.
You know, you're a lot smarter than you look, Common Sense.
Yay!
I choose not to make a comment. It's probably safer.
Yay!
I know it's true. Well, you ain't saying shit because you know he could probably find out where you live and beat you to a bloody pulp. I got an ocean in between us. I know he can't get to me. I know.
I can't swim that far.
No, that was just a good point. I mean, the death by thought, and it's kowtowing. I mean, you know, I feel this Starbucks could come out tomorrow with new cups that say "fuck all niggers, they suck anyway." They'd still sell coffee. They'd probably sell more coffee. And so this is just an example. This is an example of You know, they had that Race Together campaign that lost a bit. This is an example of these people trying to prove that they're good. Look, if you have to prove your goodness, of everyone I know here on this platform, I help out 3 people financially. I'm not going to ever say who those people are, because if I did, it would immediately negate the benevolence that I show by helping these people out. I would then be saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. If you need to say, why, I give to this person and that person, and I love black people. What skeleton is in your closet? How much kiddie porn do you have on your computer? What are you doing? Why are you so evil that you feel the need to say, anyone can shit in our bathroom and need not buy a 65p pack of bubble gum? You gotta be fucking kidding me. I mean, it's kowtowing to the nth degree. And I do wish, I hope, man, this is why I like Common Sense to pick the stories instead of Bollocks News Network, because he picks stuff we disagree on more than they do.
I try and throw those type of curveballs quite a lot. But no, these are the stories though, that we can't really disagree on, because the ideology of them is just so counterproductive. It's like the idea of positive discrimination. All you've done is put the idea that it's positive to discriminate against somebody. That's literally all you've done. But because it's white people that you're positively discriminating against, and Asian people to make it easier for a certain demographic to get in, that apparently makes it all right to racially denigrate other people. That's basically what they're doing here. The fact that, okay, well, black people are going to want to do this, or certain lower class people are going to want to do this. At least they can pretend to sit in there and that they're having a drink of coffee. They might find a cup outside and ask for a drink of water instead and pretend they've got a drink of fucking coffee. Because that's what it's all about. It's about pretending that you can actually afford different things that you can't afford, to make people feel better about their situations and themselves. The point that we actually changed laws to make people feel better about themselves kind of shows you that society is failing and falling at a rapid pace.
Yeah. And if you just for posterity, Lord Quinn, would you say what you typed out there just recently into the chat?
Assuming you're saying about the virtue signal. Signaling. Being virtuous is good. Virtue signaling is wrong.
Yeah. So, if I may press you, then, sir, what do you mean? Because I believe that you're a Baal worshiping heathen, just like Common Sense, some kind of God-denying, dark, minded heathen. I don't know what other word to use. So, that in mind, what do you mean? You have some kind of what is virtue?
Well, to me, virtue is once you can actually listen to your own personal moral code and follow it. That, to me, is virtuous. Because at least you're holding true to something that you truly believe. And the problem with
I have the 3 commandments, but no, I don't want to get it. I want to press you, brother. I'm going to press you.
Go for it,
Give me an example of virtue versus virtueless versus non-virtue.
Well, all right. Using the standard civilization's way of doing things, being virtuous is helping people and quite simply not being a dick, and you can take that however you like. Virtue signaling is indicating that you're the person that completely agrees with this and is all there, but yet doesn't actually do anything. They just...
Bear with me, Common Sense, but look, now I'm going to press you more. I know you want to keep going, but I'm just look, give me an example of a virtuous act.
Helping a woman cross the road.
Thank you, Common Sense. So that would, in other words, so you see somebody that's weaker than you and they're having a problem, and so you take their arm, you look, and then you escort them across the road. Now, what makes that and I want to go with Quinn too, Common Sense. Just give me about 2 more minutes with him, 3 at the tops. Mm-hmm. So if what Common Sense said was virtuous, Lord Quinn, what makes it virtuous, and what would be an example of a virtuosity?
Okay, what makes it virtuous is because you're actually helping somebody for no personal gain. And to be a virtuous is to, quite simply, deliberately go out of your way to ruin somebody's day for no benefit apart from the fact it makes you feel good about yourself, which, no, that's not cool, man.
All right, that's good. All right, I won't press you no more. So in other words, I just want to say this. The reason I wanted to get into that is because, as much as I joke about it, as being a God-fearing human being that believes in the great Jehovah that created everything that we know and that reigns supreme regardless of the slights that many people give him, I would say this. The idea that man, and Jehovah agrees with me. I could point it out in the scriptures, but nobody wants to hear me give a Bible study right now. I'm just going to...
Please no, please no.
Jehovah says that he made man in his own image. There's no way that we could say that a human being, apart from anybody that's in my camp's idea of God, could not be virtuous is crazy. And I hear that argument. That's why I kept pressing. I hear that argument all the time, Lord Quinn, that, oh, if you don't have God, you don't have morals, or you could have no virtue. I just don't buy that. I believe that inside of every man is the innate desire to be virtuous. Let's remember, too, I don't want to get too deep, but if you can, without putting him right on the spot, too, there's no preparation. If you can, common sense guy, what's the difference between virtue and morals?
Oh,
Good luck with that.
No. It's just a way of explaining it.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, virtues are basically something that you would expect things to be done naturally. As in, as you said, you would expect somebody to go and help somebody. You would expect the point of not going off and killing somebody. Where morals is a set of principles that you devise for yourself and you live by them yourself. It's not something that would technically be preordained, to use a terminology, for yourself.
I would say you're right, but opposite common sense. I hate to cut you up, but I would say you're on the right track too, but opposite. Virtues come from within. Morals are things that people tell you about and think about it. The argument is you can't have morality without God. Well, maybe that's true. I guess maybe it's true because you have to define morals by things you were taught were correct. Virtue, to be virtuous, is to listen to that voice inside you that tells you the difference between right and wrong. That's Romans. We're big on that. So I'm sorry, Common, if you got to carry on, but do you see where I'm coming from too, where I believe that you're absolutely correct, just it's transverse?
No, I do agree with you. It's just that I believe that the virtues, fuck me, I'm going left. I should not have debated people. I think...
that's what we're doing. It's philosophy now. It's all about what we believe, brother.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, I kind of have the inkling then that with virtues, I still do actually think that it's a case of we bestow our virtues onto ourselves. But you're quite correct where morals are something that they can be societal morals, as in society could be the point of that you are cannibalistic, where if you go to a different society, that moral would not be there. It would be a case of it would be immoral to eat somebody, where in some cases it would be perfectly moral. It depends on society for morals, where virtue is something that you would absolutely devise for yourself. As I said, being nice in general, not killing people, blah, blah, blah.
Man, I got to say, Tim Tarbox says it in a very eloquent way, but I still have to say it because he says virtues are morals in action. But I still say, yes, if the virtue lines up with the morals, but I will still say that virtue, gotta say this one more time, boys, virtue comes from within. I mean, if you read any philosophy from Rome about the virtuous mind, it comes from within. It's a man it's not what his father taught him, okay? But morals would be what his father taught him. And of course, it got conflated because in Rome, your father taught you everything. He actually owned you for life. Until the day he died, you had to do what your father said. Thanks to the British for that knowledge. Or
until you become what was it, a scribe, and then you were the person who owned you then.
What up, man? I'm sorry, comments, but Agent of Apathy, otherwise known as the ass-eating squirrel, is in our chat, and I'm very honored and humbled. Good to see you, ass-eating squirrel. Good to see you.
Hi. Hi.
No, I shouldn't have made a big deal about it. You got me drinking this cider. I'm fucking already loopy a little bit. I just drank one of these bottles. I'm on the second. This, by the way, is still the Bean Blossom. This is the original. And they don't say. I looked all over. My eyes are getting bad. I got my magnifying glass out last night, and I'm looking all over this.
Oh, you set yourself up for a horrible joke then.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's why I'm doing it. You know, I'm wanting somebody to take this very
Picture of the day.
leather shoe full of tobacco-esque. I think I'm doing, but it doesn't. You know, it says that there's no artificial flavors, no artificial colors. But I swear, common sense, it tastes like they put a little cinnamon in it. But maybe it's just the apples. Boy, this is fucking good, man. It's so good that I would send you a bottle of this, regardless of the weight, because I know you like cider.
I do. I love cider. It's one of my favorite drinks. The only one next to that is Jack Daniels.
Now, do you like your cider? I know I'm off topic, but fuck it. We're going to go to the next story anyway. We beat this damn thing to death. You got any last words on it? Cut me off anytime you want to. But I have to say this. Do you like your cider sweet or dry?
Sweet.
Oh, you do sweet? Well, this is semi-sweet, I'd say, or semi-dry. So maybe I'd find you a different one to send. I wouldn't call it sweet. I mean, it has a sweet finish, and you can taste the sweet on your lips, but it's not like a syrupy at any stretch of the imagination.
No, that's fair enough. I don't mind things like that. To quickly go back to the story or what we were talking about, I do think the idea of virtue and virtue signaling, and the reason why they're different, the reason why virtue signaling is not necessarily bad, but to the point of the reasons why we always point it out, it's the fact that virtues are supposed to be, as you already said, something that you would do generally without praise, just because it's something that you should do. Where virtue signaling is walking that woman across the road and then tweeting about it, putting it on Facebook, doing a video about it, and then going, aren't I amazing? You don't do that if you're virtuous. You only do that if you're not normally that type of person. And that's what virtue signaling is. The fact that you have to produce yourself and pretend that you actually are a virtuous person. So you have to fake it.
Yeah. And I tell you what, boys, we beat this up, unless while I'm getting this next one ready, I always seem to. And I got to say, what sparked our next story is the debate last night. We're going to talk. It's kind of misleading. I'm going to go through the two very quickly, the two stories, and we'll get into the idea of what it really the root of it is. But I don't want to overlook you, Lord Quinn. I got to thank you, man. Common sense guy, I've been through hell with fucking. We've been through hell, all right? I'm not going to go and rehash everything. We've been through hell. Some of it's been his fault. I'm sure. I don't know what. I'm just saying that because I know some of it's been my fault. I don't want to take all the burden. But some of it's been fault. There's been fault. But the fact of the matter is, I think we haven't even discussed this either. I said it before. I'm saying it again. Have we discussed anything about another host or anything, common sense at all?
Nope.
Nothing. We haven't even talked about it. Any that have come and gone, hell, not for, we talked about the Brit, but it's been months. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that we found one thing. We are two big, fat, opinionated white boys. One from America, one from the Great Britannia. And we don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Anybody don't like it, they can lick my asshole and alternately suck common sense cock. So I don't really think it just didn't work out. I don't. So we really apologize. But Lord Quinn is our producer. So if you see him here and you feel like you've been passed over and you think, oh, they got another co-host. No, we don't. In fact, Lord Quinn was the one that told me, oh, it's a good idea. Not because I said it on a live stream. It's like, we're not looking for another co-host. That's why I brought up that I haven't talked common sense, but I can kind of feel it in him. We were both about ready to just, I think, jump ship. The only reason we haven't is because we like each other. And I'm speaking for common sense. If I'm wrong, he'll tell me. But we feel a certain responsibility to you lot out there that we know we don't have a huge following or huge audience, but we feel a certain amount of responsibility for you lot that want to come to a place where people cover important topics in a way that's bearable, in a way that, yes, we crack some jokes about some things and we make fun, but it's only because we want to bear up under it so that we can all have that information. So I hope that wasn't too stupid, you know what? Because I'm just not a feels kind of guy. And the only other person I know like me right now is Common Sense Guy. Very loving, very kind, caring guy, but he ain't got a lot of room for feels and shit. He's never once in the year and a half I've known, never once come to me and been like, blah, blah, blah. Now we talk, don't get me wrong, we talk, but he's never once, and I hope to God, sir, I've never come to you and done the same thing, because it's not that we don't want consolation or someone. Look, I'm going off in the weeds, all right? So we're going to go on into our next story. It's just because Common Sense, I don't know how to tell people that, no, we're not going to pick another person out of the fucking bunch. You just tried it with Manic Idiot and a fucking load of fucking morons. I mean, what are you going to do? You going to try to fight? No, we already know who good guests are on the show. We already know. I'm not going to name the list, because if I do, other people will feel left out. So I'm just going to tell you that there are, as he's showing, there are about a handful, and that's it. And it's just because now there'll be other streams where we'll have fun. So let's quit having fun and grim up and go, but no, I'm just teasing. But there'll be other streams where we just have fun. But I want to, one more thing, Common Sense, bear with me. I will say this. If you come on this stream or on Common Sense stream to simply disrespect the host, you will be removed instantly. We don't give a fuck if we're called SJW. We don't give a fuck. We don't care. Why? Because this is a good old boys club. This is our fun time. This is La Cosa Nostra, our thing. And if you're not a part of our thing, then get the fuck out and don't ever fucking come back. Of course, I'm not talking to you lot here because you're here. That said, boys, a word to the wise is sufficient. So if you would like to go and take the piss out of the host, I suggest you go check out Mad Dodge Productions. He puts the link to the stream up every time on his Discord. And there's a bunch of sycophantic faggot fairies that hang around sucking each other's virtual cocks on that shit show every day. Go on and hang out there. So what do you say, folks? I tell you what, communism. Oh, I'm sorry. Quinn, did you have anything else about the last story before I move on?
No, I think we pretty much covered that well enough, man. Go ahead.
All right.
I've got a quick announcement before we actually carry on. I think most people have actually probably already realised, but once I actually get my laptop and everything fucking sorted out, I will be staying. I'm not leaving YouTube. I've had quite a lot of people's messages, a lot of people pulling me into different chats and trying to get me to talk to them, and I've even had a couple of people donate money to me to leave a message for me, which is weird. I'm not going to go through who, but they will watch the stream and they'll know exactly who they are.
We love you.
It means a hell of a lot. It really does, for all the people that have messaged me privately and said that they wanted me to stay and what I've done to help them.
We need you. You've started this thing. I mean, your videos are second to none to me. You've actually filled a void that I won't say who, but you filled a void for me. And I go to your videos when I'm working and you cover these pertinent topics that we need you, Common Sense. And I know I didn't donate anything, but I know I donated my love to you. I hope that's enough. As a Jew, that's all you get. But we need you, man. You know, we're used to your content. And again, you may not have a gigantic PewDiePie following, but the ones that you have are fiercely loyal, because I also got at least 5 people that were, probably didn't want to come. Anyway, so you will be here. That is the most wonderful news I've heard in the last few days. I hope that I didn't pester you too much, brother, about it. I tried to leave you alone, but I wanted you to stay.
No, I know that a lot of people want me to stay, and I think that's the reason why I've decided that way, because I really was burnt out. I really, really was fucking burnt out. And it wasn't to do with the stream, the last stream. It wasn't really to do with that. That was just where my implosion happened. Yeah. It's been that way for a while. But I think with a little bit of a break after now, it's been the stress of moving and everything as well, because I've moved. So, yeah.
Give it enough time, Common, where when you do your next video, it's because you're like, I got to do a video about this. Even if it's tomorrow, tonight, whenever it is, or if it's a week from now. Just make sure the next one you do, it's because you think to yourself, gotta fucking tell my people about this. And then get back on the horse. Yeah, fuck, I was gone too. If it wasn't for Lord Quinn, it was a whole fucked up week, I think, for Bollocks News Network and everybody involved in it. And Lord Quinn was I was going to delete my channel, my fucking Facebook, my Facebook's on my Twitter. I was going to delete everything and disappear because the Ogre is a construct I developed that has nothing to do with my real life. And I press the delete button, it's gone. Yep. And I don't know. I think the words he used is "don't you dare."
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, I mean, as you already said, I mean, we're kind of going off into weird and wonderful things and things that I don't really like talking about, but somehow we've managed to pull together quite a good following and severely fierce, loyal people, and a lot of them I call my friends rather than fans, or what other people would call them. I'd call them my friends, and a lot of people would actually say you can't make internet friends. Nah, you can. You can make internet friends. You really, really fucking can. You just gotta relax and let them in a little bit more. That's all.
I think, and they're even fewer than the real world friends. In other words, harder to find. But I agree, you can. In fact, Lord Quinn, I'm here with 2 of them. So, don't you fucking trying to make me cry, faggot? We're moving on.
Oh, baby.
I am not sitting here and having some kind of fucking circle jerk with you faggots. Here we go. So this is from Reuters.
Oh, circle jerk, and then we move on to Reuters. That's
it's from Reuters. And common sense, you should be able to take the Mickey out of this motherfucker. Oh God, do I need to shave? Venezuela. Oh. And this, as I said before, we went into a big old long feeling fest. Venezuela, this is just a jumping point. This is something I want to use to Trump's in here a little bit, but it's not to focus on Trump. It's about the commies, all right, folks? So Venezuela's Maduro reelected amid outcry over vote. Caracas, Venezuela. Reuters. Venezuela's left leader Nicolas Maduro won a new 6-year term on Sunday, but his main rivals disavowed the election, alleging massive irregularities in a process critics decry as a farce propping up a dictatorship. I'm not going to read any more of this. I'm just going to tell you very quickly. They changed polling stations without notice in areas where they know they're going to lose. Maduro is in complete control of the radio and television conglomerate there, which is all state-run, and they put out nonstop propaganda. I have watched some of it today. It's unreal. You would think that they were going through a boom time when a loaf of bread costs you 1 billion Venezuelan pesos or whatever the fuck they use. Takes you a wheel, just like anyway. So I'm going to tell you this. It's a crock of shit. There was no election here. This is common sense. The way you felt about Barcelona, about the Catalans, Catalans. I don't even have the words. You should be ready to grab your sword, put it betwixt your teeth, and swim the pond to kill these fucking people. Because I know what you feel about democracy. And this to have a, why did they even say they had a vote? So that's what's going on in Caracas. Another bullshit propped up election that elected this dictator. So just on the side note, and I want to get right back because this is the counterbalance, folks. This is all about communism. I want to start with Quinn. Let's let Quinn have the floor so you're ready, Quinn, because I don't really know. You don't talk much, and I haven't been cool enough to ask you too many questions. I assume some things, but that could make an ass of you and me. So I would like to know what you think about this whole communist socialist idea. But the converse of what's happening, Trump issues executive order targeting Venezuela. President Trump issued executive order on Monday prohibiting people from the U.S. from carrying out certain financial transactions within the government of Venezuela. The executive action prohibits the purchase of any debt owed to the government of Venezuela and any debt owed to the country that is pledged as collateral. Now, that is a very fancy way of saying, okay, during the bubble market here that burst in 2008 with real estate, there were many times where people would buy companies, not people, organizations, companies would buy debt in the form of mortgages. And they would a lot of times buy the mortgage for 50 cents on the dollar because the interest they'd been paid had already paid these people off, and then they know they're going to get it back. Trump has cut this off. I want you to understand this, because right now, if you purchase debt in Venezuela, you could become very wealthy from that very easily. It's economic hitmen. For those of you that, I mean, come on, I don't know who I'm speaking to, so I don't want to go too deep into how this could be bad. But if you'd like to have a conversation on that, just let Common Sense Guy or myself know, and we'll go deep into the economic hitmen and how they destroy countries. Here's his answer. No buying of debt from Venezuela. No buying of debt from people that are secondary signers to Venezuela. Ain't happening. That means no bailouts for Venezuela from the United States of America. So we have communism and socialism running amok, destroying itself, and capitalism in the vestige of our God King, Donald Trump, saying, no, it will not happen. So, Lord Quinn, what do you think? I mean, is it because they didn't do it right? Is there another way to do socialism? Did they make a mistake? Is it because Chavez died? I mean, what's going on here? What's going on here, Lord Quinn?
Okay, all right, I'll give this a go. I'm no expert in this, but I'll give it a bash. In my opinion, the socialism stroke communism, and yes, I do put the both of them together, even though I do accept they are technically separate. They don't work. Humanity is not mentally set up to be able to do that shit. So the complete balls up that is Venezuela is the fault of socialism stroke communism. But, and the important part is the but, it doesn't help the fact that you've got a leader who, for some reason, thinks he can get away with doing all the things he is, and at this point is getting away with it. Don't get me wrong. But it is wrong that he can get away with it. It's disgusting. He is supposed to be the leader of the people. Therefore, he is supposed to actually give a shit about the people. And what are you laughing at? I see your face. Yeah, yeah. Go on then, expert.
No, I just literally just farted, and I thought that it come through the fucking microphone.
I heard it. All right, go on. I thought he knew why you were laughing. Go on. He's not interrupted. He just cut a good one.
No, that was just his way of saying what he thinks of what I was saying. I get it. All right, fine.
Hey, it probably smells like communism over there. Common sense.
You've hurt my fee-fees now. That's it. I'm ruined for life. No, seriously, Maduro has completely ballsed up his entire country, and he's just going to sit there and let it collapse under him and then disappear off with everything he can pinch and go to yet another South American country and live the life of bloody Riley, in my opinion.
Man. Fuck. And that's what they do, dude. That's what they do. I'm sorry. Let's all together now. Oh. All right. Well, I'm good. That's what they do. They say they have all the answers, and then they go live the life of Riley somewhere once they've wrecked the whole fucking country. You know why? They've been raping the country the whole time. Holy fuck. Has anybody ever seen a Yugo car from communist Yugoslavia? Does anybody know what a Yugo is? Anybody?
No.
Nope.
Piece of shit. Came rusted from the factory. They sold them for $3,000 in the United States in 1990. And they were the biggest piece of junk, 25 horsepower, little 3-cylinder. Look, communism has only produced death, destruction, and misery. The idea, I'm just going to say it, common sense. I'd like a chance to talk to the gentleman, snub him. I love the guy. I do love him. I didn't lose no respect for him last night. I didn't. And I don't think he did me. I think he was just butthurt, or he wouldn't want. I'm not going to go down that road. So look, the only thing that ever comes from the idea, let me give it to you this way. There was once a premier in Russia in 1950, and he was riding through the countryside on a buckboard with one of his underlings, one of his quislings that would one day take his place. And he looked at him and he said, "Premier Islivov, would you please explain to me the quintessential nature of communism?" And with, he started to expound about Marx and Lenin. And the whole time as they went along, his cane was a sword cane, and he had already pulled the sword end out of it. And they were in a cornfield. And every tassel that was a bit higher than the other, as he spoke, he cut off with his rapier. And in the end, the quisling didn't understand. He said, "But Kazlov, I don't get it. What?" And he said, "Did you not understand? Look back at yon field. Every sprout that springs up higher than his comrades needs to be cut down." Let's remember that capitalism builds up. Yes, it builds up even when a rich man pays somebody $4 an hour. Yes, you have $4 an hour you didn't have, and you can go and talk to somebody else and maybe get $4.25. Capitalism only builds up. Communism only cuts down. Socialism only cuts down, because common sense, the house he would last night when he went on into the, as long as somebody got a house that, look, I'm not mocking him. This is how the fucking guy sounds. Complain to him, not me. As long as somebody got a house nicer than somebody else, don't matter. It ain't equal. Everybody got to have the same car, same house. What? That means if I got a real nice house, what are they going to do? Common sense. They're going to take their rapier out and what?
Exactly. But so the easiest way to explain communism and socialism is exactly the way that you've just explained it. But instead of using the cornfield as an example, think of it as a rich at the top, the poor at the bottom, and the way that you make the poor think that they're getting closer to the rich is by taking the rich down, not bringing the poor up. That's the easiest way to explain communism, is that the rich get taken down, not the poor go up. Capitalism is the only thing that actually brings poor people up, not communism or socialism. When it comes to the point of people like Maduro, the reason why every single communistic country or socialistic country always turns into a dictatorship is because they take over. They literally have to take over for that ideology to actually work. Because as Ogre was saying, you have to cut the people at the top off to make people believe that they're equal. It's the same thing why we have at schools now, have people that are not allowed to have different pencil cases, they're not allowed to have different backpacks, that have to wear the same school uniform. They can't have their own packed lunches brought in and things like that. They have to have the same packed lunch boxes and everything like that, because you're not allowed to show individualism. Because if you show individualism, it means that people are different, and it breaks the fucking illusion. And as soon as you break the illusion, i.e. an Animal Farm, for instance, has the best form of the example for breaking communism. As soon as you break that illusion, you realize that you're actually working and actually is in worse conditions than what you were before. You realize that it's a horrible system, because all it does is break everybody that works. You have the horse in Animal Farm, for instance. I can't remember his name, but the big, strong horse that would always pull, always keep on pushing. As soon as he died, straight off to the glue factory. Not even a mention to anything else like that. And every time he was the strongest and staunchest believer in the ideology of communism.
What was his name? What was the horse name? General, right? Or what was his name? That was so sad, too. Fuck.
I honestly can't remember his name. Unfortunately,
as he died,
I really can't.
Off the glue fucking factory. I mean, you're right, man. Animal Farm, George Orwell, Animal Farm was... it was communism personified. It really was.
Yep.
Well, anthropomorphized, I guess I should say. Not personified. It was communism anthropomorphized, right? It was communism as told through the life of animals.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though. People always go, oh, but that wasn't even real communism. Don't tell me it wasn't real communism. It was told by a person who followed communism. He was a communist. He went and fought the Spanish to make sure that the communists would win. This is not a person that did not believe in the idea of communism to start off with. He then saw that it was the root of all evil, and that's the reason why he wrote 1984 and he wrote Animal Farm, obviously in the reverse order.
May I interrupt for a sec? The horse's name was Boxer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Right. Oh, I was thinking of Chicken Run with the whole general thing. Hey, you all see that movie Chicken Run? I'm down to 25 chickens, folks. I finally did it. I haven't talked about it on air, and this will be a nice little segue. For one, as we're talking about communism, and the coolest commie I know is Memes of Destruction, I have asked him on, boys, but before I actually give out any links, he hasn't even answered. Oh, I guess he is free. So do you lot? I mean, come on, man. Memes is cool, right?
It's Memes. It's fun.
He's never fucking been anything but cool. That dude. It's like I often say, Memes of Destruction is that dude that can go fucking anywhere. He's friends with your enemies. He's friends with you, and everybody loves him. He does remind me of that guy. I've strove to be that person, but an Ethiopian can't change his skin, and a leopard can't change his spots, folks. That's why the only friend online I have is Common Sense, and the only producer I could find is Lord Quinn. That's why. I mean, it's because I'm a fucking asshole. There's nothing I can do about it. I do feel bad. For those of you that wonder, all right, I do feel bad sometimes. It's rarely, and it doesn't last long, but I do. I mean, I understand that things could be sunnier and nicer for me if I was different, but I don't want to be different. Do you? Who does? I love my life. I love who I am. So anyway, look there, Memes. I'm looking right now. I think I might have. No, I didn't send it to you yet. Yeah. So look here, Memes, in your Discord, in Discordia. It's funny. Me and Memes hardly ever talk. The last two messages I sent him were both links. They were both links to this, to this. That's it. Before that, I mean, I'm looking. We've said a few words. In fact, look, 1, 2, 3. Out of like the last 10 things we've said to each other, 6 of them were links to get on a live stream. That's kind of fun. So, and I do want to hear his input too, because we talked about how we've been kissing each other's ass the entire stream. Again, Common Sense. I know I expect a lot of work out of you. I guess don't expect it, but you do a lot of work. That's why you always pick stories that you seem to have an innate sense of what we'll be able to argue about, and I don't. I just am trying. So there he is. Memes of Destruction. Why is socialism and communism good? Have we not done it correctly yet, sir?
Well, there's been terrible mismanagement, and I don't think we've reached post-scarcity, according to Karl Marx's original works. I haven't read it in a while, but that's what a lot of folks say.
Do you ever think that we will get to post-scarcity?
Wait. Well, what about Venezuela?
Oh, they didn't diversify the economy for sure. Dude, they literally could be the wealthiest nation in South America right now had they diversified, invested in IT, and if fucking nothing else, better drilling equipment and refining. No, as far as I know,
Look,
Chavez was in there.
Chavez
was $140 a barrel. He was making money hand over fist.
And so was the country.
He gave folks like free refrigerators and shit, and didn't invest in his own country.
As soon as he died, it went to hell. The only way you can have a communist or socialist government, Memes, is if you have a benevolent leader. And I will fucking, I don't give a fuck about Che Guevara, who's a piece of shit, buggering, faggot, homosexual. I don't give a fuck about none of them. You can name them. But Hugo, he was a benevolent dictator. One of the, in fact, the only one I can point to in history of man, Memes. And when he was alive, he used to drive his Jeep down with no security and repair kids' bikes. Look at Stone did a great documentary about him. And when he died, it went to hell because they started keeping the money for themselves. It was no longer Hugo, remember in the barrio where he grew up, driving some beat up fucking Jeep. He did. I mean, look into his life. The guy did not live like Kude Hussein. So anyway, I know I talked a lot. So is it possible to have Memes communism without a benevolent dictator, which as I said, I could only find one in the history of man?
I've heard arguments for Pinochet from our friend Coach as well. I mean, I wasn't there. Apparently, he had a bit more of an experience. He said they were firm but fair. There was a bunch of shit going on. But as far as Mr. Hugo Chavez goes, I mean, it sounds like from your description, I ain't no expert on the guy, but it sounds like he lived the life, he fought, and folks were so happy at the time. We were kind of, at least the folks down in Venezuela, they felt like uplifted. They were going in a good direction. And when you have a bunch of money and a bunch of oil, and oil is extremely high, like multiple times like the historical price, yeah, things can be very good. And if you're giving folks a bunch of free shit, I think they're going to love you. The problem is, man, is when things do get tough and when you go past that as well. And again, he's only one man. He doesn't live forever, because when he goes, you can be, and again, it's the paradox of literally the patriarchy, either the benevolent or the tyrannical king. No, you can phrase it however you want, and I am drawing a little bit from Professor Peterson, who I will be seeing tomorrow evening. But what it's basically saying is, yeah, you can have somebody that could be extremely benevolent, take care of the folks and everything. But the problem is, again, like, we're all fucking mortal. We're just human beings. So when that person goes, you have no fucking guarantee. So that's the problem with putting so much power in the hands of a single person or the government in general. Because things could go really well, they could go really bad, and it's just you need to find that balance.
What's the alternative?
What's up?
What's the alternative?
I never really said I was promoting communism. I don't think I said that. I just said I was defending the certain points.
No. I was saying, because I was picking up on what you said. You said that there's no way of being able to have any sort of form of technically government and any sort of form of dictator, because once they've gone, they've gone. So what's the alternative then? If you can't have a government and you can't have a dictatorship?
Oh, no, I didn't say you couldn't have a government. I'm saying that's the problem with you're putting so much power in a single individual or a small group of individuals. The more you can broaden it and flatten it out. Well, I mean, I think a democratic republic is pretty good. Like here over the States, I mean, it ain't perfect, and the system could definitely use some fucking work, but overall, it does have a fairly good balance. I mean, I've only been here for like 34 years, so.
Do you think that a democratic republic would be able to work under the forms of communism?
I mean, how so? Like, are we? I mean, to seize. Because one of the things you're seeing with Venezuela right now, it's like, all right, you got companies pulling out. The companies like Kellogg's and whoever, they start pulling out. And I'm not sure if basically the government seized it before or after. But hey, man, welcome back. But no, like if you're seizing a private business, like it goes in the same thing with sanctions and shit like that. Like, if a company is looking to go into Iran, no, that's because like if a company doesn't know what the political structure is going to be like in a particular country, like this is actually like part of like a financial equation for calculating whether you should invest in a business. The government actual response, I think it's a big G in the equation. It basically is saying, what is the risk of this government? If there's potential sanctions and your literal property is going to get seized in 2 years, are you going to make a 10-year investment there? So that scares business off. See, like for me, the way I prefer to look at it is capitalism is a great thing for growing wealth. It absolutely is. There are certain things that I think most of the folks on this panel would say, maybe we shouldn't be able to sell absolutely everything, because you start getting into the moral things of, okay, hey, let's start moving around some kiddos and shit like that. I think everyone here is comfortable to say that, yeah, probably not a good thing. But what can we do? We always had the concept of something like a sin tax. So basically, if you're buying something like tobacco or something we know this is hurting you, this is adding cost to the economy and everything, something that I'm literally walking outside to do right now. If we put a tax on this, we can actually make money. Folks understand the purpose of the tax, and they're like, it is a regressive tax, to be fair.
I'm sorry, Memes. What are you actually arguing about at this moment in time? I appreciate where you're going.
I'm coming to the answer for like an alternative. I'm sorry. I'm rambling, but I'm coming back around right now. If you give me like 1 minute, I'll wrap it up. So basically what I'm saying is certain taxation on certain things that makes sense, that most folks are okay, you can vary those levels depending on what it is. And again, your officials have to present that. But what I'm saying, man, is Okay. But all I'm saying, man, is basically think of it like NASCAR. I think maybe Mr. Ogre will kind of explain this a little better. In NASCAR, we've developed bigger and better engines, produce more horsepower. What they do is they put on restrictor plates. And what those restrictor plates do is they restrict the amount of airflow literally going into the engine. If you can restrict that airflow, basically I view that as taxation. That's something that folks in the sport have commonly accepted as well. It's multiple analogies in one, but what I'm saying is if you do it in a way that makes sense and that's very open, I think we can figure it out.
Yeah, nobody's actually saying that we should ban taxism at this moment in time. Nobody on this panel is saying that we should ban taxism. What we're actually trying to say is that communism in itself drives businesses away, exactly for what the reason that you said. Because if you're going to nationalize the business, what's the point in having the private business invest into your country? That's the whole point of communism, to turn everything into a nationalistic point. That's the reason why the Scandinavian countries are turning back to capitalism, because they can't maintain what's going on.
Oh, no, I tend to agree with you. I think actually somewhere, probably an optimal scenario lies somewhere between the governments of the United States and the UK. Because like over the UK, you have the NHS, which is a pretty big thing as well. A lot of folks over here are pushing for something like that.
Yeah, don't ever take it. As much as I like the NHS, it doesn't work.
Is no one going to mention to the Ogre that we can hear him playing music?
No.
It's his channel. I wasn't sure if we're going to song.
It's his channel. He can do what he wants.
No, Lord, I'm trying to know. I don't know what happened. I will never fucking update my computer again. I don't know what happened. I can't.
Windows 10 will eat you, man.
So perfect. I don't know. I'm trying. No. Thank you for telling me that, but I didn't know you could hear that. Yeah. I can't hear it. I have no idea. Fuck me. I will figure it out. Just carry on. At the end of this, I do have a song or two to play, but it's not over yet.
No, I mean, we're obviously trying to be talking about the idea of Venezuela and was it actually ever going to work? And is there an alternative to the idea of communism from the Venezuela model?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, they actually have a shit ton of oil. If they went in a more capitalistic or just limited, because let's face it, right now, what they've done is they went from basically Hugo Chavez being able to buy every single person in Venezuela like a new air conditioner. If you're down in a hot country, dude, that's going to be a big thing, and pay your power bill. If they went from that to literally like starving, like, you're going to have some austerity measures. You're going to have to balance it out. And there are countries willing to help out. China's already started to help out, but they need to stabilize it. And right now, there isn't really any faith with the Maduro regime.
Why is that, though? Is there particular reason why they're not being able to?
The dude pulls out a Snickers bar in the middle of like a 2-hour speech while his folks are starving, man. Like, I understand he's trying to promote to the rest of the world, but like, if I'm a person sitting there starving, my family's starving, the leader of the country just reaches into his drawer, pulls out a Snickers, be like, starving in your country, do not worry. Your leader has Snickers. Like, that's not a good meme, man.
Yeah, but that's the point that I'm trying to make to you.
I'm not arguing with you.
No. It's the fact that the reason why people are starving in that country is because he's nationalized everything and there is no private investment anymore.
Oh, they didn't diversify at all. It's a sinking ship. It needs lots of international help. It's going to undergo a very violent, probably revolution, man.
I imagine so, but that's the whole idea of socialism and communism, is to nationalize everything. And every time it's ever been used that way and completely implemented, the country's always failed.
But isn't the UK more of like a socialist nation?
No, we're more capitalist. We just have socialistic programs, i.e. the NHS and the welfare.
Oh, okay. So like, is that a bad thing? Is there, because like I haven't read the Communist Manifesto for a long time, and shit, I don't remember the exact things. I just remember reading them like, oh, that sounds like a pretty good idea, and I'm just like, all right, move on, study other things, and it's just like, as far as how far you go, I mean, like, what's the percentage that you would consider being socialist? Because like, to a U.S. guy.
We'll go to the actual point of Marxism then, shall we? The actual point of Marxism is to turn every factory worker and every factory into the arms of the people that work for them. So in other words, taking away industry, which is the biggest form of any sort of GDP, that is any country's going to have. So you're already crippling any sort of form of the money that the country's going to bring in. The infrastructure will fail.
Oh, okay, but when did he write that? Wasn't like 120 years ago? I'm just saying,
you said use the manifesto. I'm using the manifesto. That's his point. That's where socialism and communism is devised from.
Oh, but if in the factory worker model, isn't that like an outdated model since it was 120 years ago? Shouldn't we do something fresher and more applicable that would work?
Like what, sir?
No, I don't know. I'm not
saying you are. I'm not saying you are, but I'm not the one advocating for socialism or communism. I think capitalism works fair enough on its own.
I think it works pretty well too. I don't really think we have an argument. It's just I'm willing to entertain the different models. And actually, the interesting thing is based upon what Mr. Ogre said before. Thank you, Mr. Ogre. It sounds like you're really behind, the Prince of Saud in Saudi Arabia right now, because they do have a bunch of oil and they are a very wealthy country, and they've actually been diversifying a lot of things, I believe, as well. And I mean, isn't that another example of a place where it's working, at least according to what we hear?
No, because it's a monarchy. That's not the same as socialism. That's a monarchy.
But don't they have heavy social programs and stuff, very high austerity, help keep everyone happy?
Like what?
People live very well over in Saudi Arabia, from what I hear. And
is it due to working? Is it due to working conditions, or is it due to handouts?
It's probably a combination. I've never been over there. I remember.
I'm pretty sure that most people in Saudi Arabia are actually working, and they're actually working in high-paid jobs.
Yeah, he's right. I've got a friend who was quite interested in the Middle East stuff, so he was talking to me about the Saudis. The thing is, it's with Saudi Arabia. The problem is the people of Saudi Arabia are actually treated quite well because the money does funnel through quite nicely. But the workers there are generally foreign workers, not actually citizens of Saudi Arabia.
Yep, I think
Saudi
it's around
Arabia
60%.
bans foreigners from certain jobs to give citizens more employment opportunities. This was published 2 months ago.
Is that whether they take around about they have for English teachers out there at this moment in time, and people that aren't English to teach out there, I think is around 76%.
They ordered that jobs in 12 private sector areas would be restricted to domestic applicants from early September 2018 onward, I believe. Yeah, that's what's according to the Independent. So I mean that right. No, that actually kind of that's somewhere in between. I thought there was a bunch of austerity and stuff like that, and like you said, if they're employed and stuff, and they are taking things to help protect their actual citizens and promote them, I mean, you can say it's discriminatory, but they're taking care of their own folks first.
Even though that they wanted people to come in from abroad anyway, and they advertised the jobs. This is not foreigners coming in and taking it as economic migrants. They were actually asked to come in. They were actually invited to come in.
No, I know, for instance, my cousin, he just moved back over from Lebanon, and he works doing stuff as an engineer, I forget what type, for a lot of those petrol companies. And he said when he was over in Dubai and stuff, he's like, dude, if you have a UK or a US passport and you go to work in Dubai, they will automatically pay you 200% salary for your work just because you're from the UK. Dude, I literally was considering it for a little while. I'm like, that doesn't sound all that bad. I'm like, Dubai is an amazing place. Just don't cause any trouble.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. It's a fair enough point, but that's the point of capitalism. You go where the money is.
Well, see, for me, and again, I don't really think we have much disagreement here. It's just I seem maybe a little bit more apt to entertain it. And again, you have to be extremely careful. Anytime you give power to anybody, and that's why my number 7 universal truth is, with great power comes a greater responsibility. Because especially if you're in charge of other folks, dude, you gotta wield that power, and it's just so easy to be like, well, we'll just do this. Oh, this is my buddy, or stuff like that. And that's why I think that if you can be as clear and transparent as possible, because people can bitch and complain, but as long as you're not trying to pull the wool over their eyes, I think they're okay.
I don't have really much to say to that. I agree with that.
I think the big thing, like we're kind of trying to argue here, is like, see, for me, from a U.S. perspective, for many folks in the U.S., like if we take a look at the U.K. and we hear that they have like the NHS, or they happen to have like this council estate, like a nationalized program or something like that, we kind of sort of something, but it sounds like your programs are more fleshed out. There are a lot of folks over here that take a look at that and say, and call the UK socialist. Like, that's how I typically classified it.
Yeah, our programs are failing. Our NHS is failing. It needs around about 8 to 12 billion pounds to actually start working again. The fact that we have too many monkeys and not enough organ grinders, by that I mean we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. It's absolutely failing, and that's all to do with bureaucracy that comes from the idea of socialism. We need more supervisors and less workers.
That doesn't make sense. That sounds like a lot of government positions and stuff like that, rather than bringing on a lot of like quote unquote lower level, entry level minions, the folks that are doing the work. You always have like, oh, so and so is my buddy, or I know them from, oh, you say yes to me a lot. Okay, here, you're a supervisor. Oh, you know what, you're a manager now. And like, if it's a meritocracy, like that's okay. But if it's just tit for tat, it's like you said, dude, you end up with so many chiefs and there's only so many Indians to take care of it. Dude, you're going to run into so much money. I think it was Cabbage, he said, literally, he was looking at these, they said productivity has decreased over the past 10 or 15 years. Yes. And he took a look at the financial data from a particular company and maybe the aggregate as well. And dude, a lot of it comes from management. If you remove the management cost, like literally efficiency is either the same as it was or it actually goes up. He's like that, and I don't know, how do we fix it? How do we? Is there a fix?
Cronyism out of capitalism. Capitalism is about one person being able to buy and sell their own labor. Cronyism is about putting more managers in place to scoop out the profits. You take cronyism out of capitalism and you take the actual government regulations that are forcing more and more red tape around it. You take that away and you let people carry on.
But how do we do that?
Quite easily. We take people out. We take governments out. We restructure what's going on.
The only thing I would say is, when you say you're going to take somebody out, and I understand by what you meant, but even by what you meant, you are telling these folks, yeah, go get fucked, you're out of a job.
Yeah, because you don't need to have 3 people that are trying to decide if an X-ray machine is good enough to come into the actual NHS or not. You don't need 3 or 4 people to do that. You just need one.
No. I hear me. Oh, go ahead, GQ.
I wanted to say is, if you ever tell B I said this, I will kill the lot of you. But I actually wish she was here, because she actually understands this shit so much fucking more than I do. She talks about the, like you say, the too many bosses thing. Mm-hmm. She works for one specific person, but also, even though she doesn't officially have to, she also works for half a dozen other bosses, all of which are doing the same thing her boss is doing. Yep. And therefore, it's a complete waste of freaking money that the NHS needs. So I can't give details because I don't know.
No, you're completely correct.
I'm here to tell you this shit.
Yep, no, you're completely correct. Too many micromanagers micromanaging. We just need one manager for a particular area.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Do you know if she perhaps, and again, maybe you can't disclose this, has she ever brought this up?
Are you joking?
Everybody brings it up. Everybody brings it up. It's a case of, if you mention it, you are more likely to get sacked, because guess what? They're on a higher salary than you.
Yep.
Oh, well, that's fine, but as long as it's like documented or stuff like that, because I mean, all I'm saying is, at least from this past election, we learned email's a bitch.
Yeah, it's the NHS. It's a case of, you're sacked. Here's your P45, fuck off.
Yeah. That's completely correct.
Well, no, that's fine, but wouldn't that be targeting? I mean, I thought that was illegal.
Prove it. Go to court and prove it.
Well, as long as you're acting in good faith and everything, and you're a good, upstanding employee.
You know that that's not what's happening.
I know that that's very likely not what's happening, but I have to believe most folks are good people, and I believe that
not when it comes to managers. Most managers have to dignify their job with a particular purpose. So if their job is firing somebody because somebody's made a comment about them, then that's what they're going to do to justify their job. If that means that they have to sign off on a particular piece of equipment that gets rid of about 20 people, then they have to do it to justify their job.
Well, no, dude, I understand what you're saying, dude. I work corporate sales. I know there were folks that were in there that they had a number, and they wanted to do anything possible to hit that fucking number. Why? Because they got a shit ton of money. Dude, I know there were times where it's like, all right, this literally getting this one deal in would literally double my paycheck. And it's like, that's very tempting. Maybe I should reschedule something. Or maybe it's like, you know what? I'm making pretty good money anyway. I'm just like, as long as my customers are happy, I doesn't really care as long as I'm doing a new job. It's very hard to say, like, to do that shit, man. But all I'm saying is, Mr. Ogre, we're getting a little feedback, but all I'm saying, man, is, I mean, if you're going to try to change the entire system, to do that, you kind of have to, you either have to give these folks an off-ramp and basically say, listen, we're going to be eliminating your job in X number of years. You can retire, blah, blah, blah. We don't think we're going to do this. And you slowly phase people out because they're human beings. And I believe most folks are good people, even if they do shitty things. I mean, I know, man. I know we want to spite these folks. When folks do terrible shit.
It's not a case of spiting them. It's not a case of that. I'm going to say this last point, and then we're going to have to do our last words because we're going up to 11. But what I'm saying is the reason why we want to get rid of all the micromanagers is because it doesn't take 4 people to do one person's job. That's it. So, Ogre, if you want to take back over, then please carry on. Can't hear you, sir. Can't hear you, sir.
He just muted himself. Or not, actually. You're not broadcasting, man.
No sound?
Okay, no sound, sir. You've got no sound.
I think he means that.
He knows. Okay. Well, do you want us to do last words as memes first and Jensen Quinn then me? Yep. Okay, no problem. If you would like to go first, memes.
Yeah, not a problem. Absolutely. But no, it's like, again, just kind of just to conclude upon what like CSG and I and everyone here was just kind of just talking about. It's like, I don't really disagree. It's just capitalism in and of itself. It generates so much wealth. It provides just an intense heat, a fire, and it can become all consuming for folks. And it's just, I think if you're going to do things, as long as you can do it as openly, as honestly, at least folks can complain out in the public circle. Because what I hear from many folks is, listen, I don't necessarily mind spending money, taxes, money on shit, but it's like when folks are being disingenuous. And of course you could argue over, oh, should we do this, do that? Hell, I would be open to have like a lot more charities. And I think we have the ability to do that now with crowdsourcing and stuff like that. It's just people, my number 9 universal truth is everyone loves to buy, no one likes to be sold. And I think that holds very true because folks are all right with helping people out. Of course, would you like to have more money? Of course, fucking we all want more money. Nobody likes spending money, but it's, as long as you're open and as honest as possible, that's fine. It's just with the current systems that we have, I think these folks are trying, but I think common sense hit the nail on the head with just what he was talking about. Because everybody is just, they're just, if you're in the bureaucracy and you're just incentivized to say, yes, boss, no matter what it is, it's just, I don't think that's going to lead to good things. It's going to lead to so many chiefs, not enough Indians. And like you said, you have a bunch of good intention programs that are failing now. So that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, my turn. I can cure the entire political problem very simply. All hail our robot overlords. Your go, CSG.
Cheers. Well, I'm going to have to try and close for both me and Ogre. I'm not sure if Ogre can actually get his microphone to work or anything.
I'll go with no.
I'm going to go with not as well. Right, okay then. I agree with most people on most things. We do have too many chiefs. We do not have enough Indians. It is a case of we're trying to get more nurses into our NHS because our NHS is just not working. We're trying to put more money into it because it bleeds money all the time because we hire too many agency workers to come in and fill their purpose as staffs, which are being paid twice the amount as normal nurses are. So work that one out. It's a case of the idea of socialistic programs are very good in the ideas of principle, but actually implementing those ideas always seem to cause more trouble than what they're necessarily worth. The idea of a welfare system, it works in the ideas of principles, but people are always going to abuse it. Some people would say, well, if it's not there, then it can't be abused. Fair enough. Some people, as what memes and probably myself would actually definitely say on this is, well, people are going to abuse whatever in front of them because people are naturally there to look after themselves. So if it's a socialistic view or if it's a capitalist view, they're going to look after themselves and use that to their best advantage. As Memes has already said many times before, there is more that we have in common than what divides us. I think that's the most important thing that we need to take away from this today, is a case of where everybody comes away from the idea of capitalism, the idea of socialism, the idea of this, the idea of that. You have to remember that it's a case of these people are coming to these conclusions because they believe that these conclusions are the best for the society. Now, some people may be wrong, some people may be correct, but it's the position of where these ideas are coming from that make them important. Don't dismiss the ideas just because you think that they're stupid or because you think that they can't work. They're still trying to come to the idea and conclusion of trying to help humanity, but in their own way and in their own understanding. So never dismiss somebody just because they have a different view to you and a different conception of what's going on. As Memes would always say, life is just a game, and it's the concept of being able to understand the game and playing it. That's the point where we've actually got to be. So if you do take anything away from this, as Ogre would always roughly say, because I'm paraphrasing because I can't really remember what it says.
I'll say it.
Yay.
No, I mean, go ahead. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, don't try to experiment while you're doing a live show. That would be my best advice to y'all right now. I don't know what happened. I will never update my computer again. I don't know why I did it. I got to turn off this new fangled 10, whatever the fuck I got now, man. I miss Windows 7. It was great. Vista was good. I actually loved XP. I don't know why they ever changed it. I'm going to try to play a song when this is over by LPG. A band called LPG. The song is called Sparrow, and I don't know if I don't think it's copyrighted. I will be trying to play parts of the black and white video while it plays. I'm not sure if I will. Hopefully, as I now realize that I shut every fucking thing down and don't even have the chat up, hopefully someone in the chat that I'm pulling up right now will tell me if there's no sound. If there isn't, I'll just bow out excellently and go away. So look, man, a couple things before I say what Common Sense I think was getting at, because I haven't said my tagline in probably a month. Haven't had need to. Haven't done it. I promised the next Gunslinger would be out by Tuesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. When I get done with this, after 2 big bottles of cider and this Clamato, I love the Clamato, I'm going to do the Gunslinger, the next installment of the Gunslinger. Appreciate everybody that listens to that too. It means a lot to me. I love literature. I love fiction. And it's cool that some people actually listen to that shit. Man, it's neat to me. It's really cool. I appreciate everybody that comes by there. In fact, I appreciate Snubnub. I appreciate the Britisher. Bollocks. Cabbage Patch Bastard. I appreciate these people. Do I like them? I don't like anybody I just mentioned, but I appreciate them because different opinions are important. My like for someone is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. When you learn to disabuse yourself of ego, not the ego, the id, the ego, and the superego, not that ego. When you disabuse yourself of your construct that you've built of your own self, when you disabuse yourself of ego, it'll be easy to understand that you can learn something from the greatest fool in the world or the wisest man that ever lived. In fact, I would go so far as to say this. God, I love that shit. Clamato. It's like it's a red eye. It's what you used to call red eye down south, but so good. It's got alcohol in it. It's good. When you disabuse yourself, and I know I'm making a mockery. I've been gone for a while, folks. It's heavy. It's hard. I'm going to end this way. Forget what I was just saying. Listen, we're a small platform, but we work hard. We have a very tiny reach in the grand scheme of things, but we love you. And by we, I mean Common Sense Guy and I. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I can't. I do believe Common Sense has given me a small amount of personal license. And so we love you. Not in that sugary bullshit way. We love you with a commitment. Love is not a feeling. Love is a commitment. And we are committed to giving you knowledge, to giving you our perspective of what's going on. Yeah, it might get old from time to time. That's why you'll leave and you'll go to another stream and you'll come back someday. Because everything gets old. I would like to plead with you and to have you consider what it must feel to the Common Sense Guy. As you go and you hector him and you tell him that we need you and we want you, please consider while you do this that the topics he covers takes a piece of his soul. That he's not willy-nilly talking about Logan Paul bullshit. That we laugh and we whistle while we go through the graveyard. But in the end, the truth of the matter is, what matters to Common Sense, what matters to me, is the preservation of youth. We don't give a fuck about communism. It's been proven to be wrong. My brother made mincemeat of a communist just last night. It's easy. It's their ideas destroy themselves. My brother talked 1% of the time, couldn't even wedge a word in, but he still destroyed the man. It wasn't my brother that destroyed the man, as much as I want to give him credit. And yes, you won, but it wasn't my brother. It was his own ideas. It was a gentleman there saying, "May I speak now? Are you done? This, what about this?" And it was a gentleman allowing a fool to speak, because not sometimes, folks. Get comfortable, because I'm going to play this fucking song that kills me. I got a couple more things to tell y'all. The fool says in his heart there's no God. Now, people will say, well, Ogre, you're talking religious. No! The fool says in his heart there's no authority higher than mine. That's a better translation of that proverb. The fool has said in his heart, no one knows anything that will make an impact on me. The fool has said in his heart that I will not be swayed. The fool has said in his heart, my ways are the best ways, and no one's ways could ever persuade me because they're shite. The fool has said in his heart, I will protest. everything I disagree with and make an obstruction to society if anyone dare challenge my sacrosanct ideas. Fuck you. Take your ideas. Take your communism. Take all of it. Now, I, in Common Sense Guy, will help you shove it sideways up your fucking ass. We don't care for it. We don't want it here. We want, above all things, promotion upon virtue. We want a man's testimony to stand on its own, and we care not for people that talk about their feelings. Do we talk about feelings here? Well, I did it earlier today. It's human. It's a human thing to do. It's something that we all do. It's something we should all quell. Your feelings are shit. Your feelings mean nothing. I am not a special snowflake. I matter not. Only 0.5% of humanity will ever live on. And how long do you truly think Thomas Jefferson will live? How long do you honestly believe we'll know who Abraham Lincoln was? Do you think they're immortal? Give it 50 millennia and then tell me about it. And before I go, I've got to say, hey, listen, man, Common Sense Guy just moved into a new place. Hi, Mrs. Ogre. Just moved into a new place. I beg of you. Okay, all right. I cyber beg of you, because he's too much of a man to do it. Go give him 50 quid. You know, guy, come on. You got 100 quid laying around. You got it. You know you do. You know you've got it there. You got nothing to do with it. You want to buy a guitar or something. You know, the man could use some furniture. I'm going to say for him also, even though he's said this before himself, he appreciates, and I appreciate the steadfast contributions that have came in, but we need a little bit more. And why am I saying that? Because I am a capitalist. Don't believe in communism. I don't believe that common sense should just have the house I have and the car I have. He doesn't. I don't think he should just have it. But because I'm a capitalist, I would say that we could help our brother. And though I don't mention it often, Common Sense won't ask you to say much more than this. Do I ever help you financially?
No.
No.
Will you give us little bits and pieces?
Thank you, sir. Because, and I'm not looking for glory from that. All I want to say is, as I said earlier today, no, I'm not one of these guys. But have I? Yes, I've given him 5 or 10 quid here and there. The reason I point this out now is not for any kind of glory seeking on my part. It's because I implore you to do what I've done. If you are one of the people that have, and I'm sorry, Common Sense, I've got to do this, and this is the end. If you are one of those people that have told Common Sense that you'd like to have him stick around, listen, nothing says I love you like fucking British pound sterling. Nothing. I would like to tell you right now that you could just tell him that it was a good time, okay? I would love to tell you that. But the fucking guy ain't even got a computer right now to use. The money that was supposed to come for a computer, we've been very upfront. It didn't go. He is now in Common Sense. I know this is going to be a little interactive here, but you're in an apartment now.
Yep.
You have your own place. And so that money was used somewhere else, but it's demonstrably been used to better the man that you enjoy watching on YouTube. So now, as I only have 5 people left, this is the end. Love y'all. Go give him 50 quid. Give him 100 quid. Tell him you love him. Show him you love him. Don't just tell him. Show him you love him. Say, hey, man, we're so glad you stuck around. Don't do it maybe on this. Do it on one of his videos. When you see the next video he does that you love. If he's worked hard for you, I know I don't give a fuck if it's going wrong. If he's worked hard for you, pay the man. All right? Just give him some cash. Lord knows, Common Sense, I pledge right now. The next video I see you do, I will put 10 quid in the kitty. That said, be good to your friends. Be good to your family members. Be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seemed to be so huge you'll never be able to forget about it. Because constant viewers, Common Sense Guy, Magic Bollocks, my beloved Lord Quinn, at a time you think not, your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your life, and everything you know will depart from you. See you on Wednesday.